I'm Tutsi Memela, a development activist, a former political activist that was involved in the 1976 youth movement struggle. I subsequently left the country, but I was involved in 1976. I was 16 at the time, and it was quite interesting because we had started engaging as the student movement in terms of what it is that we needed to do to make sure that we can stop being pursued to continue to do Afrikaans. I remember a time that we had to do history in Afrikaans, we had to do maths in Afrikaans, which was quite challenging, particularly because as we were growing up, we had actually studied in our own vocabulary. Can you imagine having to move from doing maths in Zulu and now having to do maths in Afrikaans? So that was quite a big challenge. On June 16 in particular, my township and my school was not particularly involved because we were more in the periphery. I stayed in Diepkloof, but we had been mobilized, but we didn't know as to where we needed to actually converge on June 16, and we started being part of that movement on June 17. First and foremost, as a leader, I didn't even know I had any capabilities of being a leader. I felt that if my student body elected me to say I need to lead them, I need to step up. So first I had to step up to make sure that I do what the student body expected me to do, even though I didn't understand the bigger picture. But I knew that with regards to Afrikaans, that there was no way we're going to be successful if we continue to study in Afrikaans. We were in turmoil, and what we did was we called the student body in our school because we didn't know how to march, particularly after having heard that a number of kids had been shot and killed. We felt we needed to get the directive from the leadership at the time before we just march in and get involved when a number of kids were going to be killed. And we understood that as a leadership, it was our responsibility to make sure that the student body from our school was actually protected. The political activist in me was born, an activist in me was born, and little did I know that I even had the ability nor the capability to be an activist. That journey took me in 1977, where I left the country and went to Swaziland to pursue education, but also to decide as to which movement I wanted to join, because even though as young people we had a little bit of access to literature, you couldn't find books that you wanted to know. So even the stories that you knew about the ANC or the PAC or the Black Consciousness Movement were little stories that we got from our parents. So for me, it was first to understand which movement was I going to feel comfortable with, but secondly, to seek for education. I think it dawned on me as we used to sit in the library in Manzini as a group of students that were coming from different directions. And as we're beginning to read and we're beginning to engage and beginning to meet different leaders from the different movements, that one understood that the struggle that we had started was actually bigger than what we thought it was. It was not just a student movement, but there was a bigger movement in terms of what we had actually started. I think the spirit of my message was it becomes important for young people of today to chart their own path in terms of where they need to contribute, how they can contribute to chart their own path, because we may have charted our own path. The other key issue is to say education continues to be central for us to create a better life for ourselves as our individuals, but also for our families and for our communities, because without education we cannot be able to pursue our dreams. The other key issue that I highlighted was the fact that we need to think beyond just a university education, because education is education. It doesn't matter which area you focus on. And when you look at where we are as a country, our needs are more in terms of technical skills that we require so that we can be able to build our country. We need people with technical skills. We need people that can build roads. We need electricians. So we should stop thinking that it's only university education that can enable and allow us to contribute. My message is together we can. because we need to make sure that we lift as we rise. You may think you are disadvantaged, but when you look at other people, for example, if you are a child in a township, you may find that a child in a rural area needs more than you do, and you can actually reach out and be able to assist those, because in terms of technology that we take for granted, they may not have access to that technology. So it is, again, as a youth movement, it's together that we can make a difference in the lives of ourselves, in our own lives, the lives of our families, but also the lives that make a difference in our country as a whole.